What's up, guys? Welcome to Boxing Decades. And this weekend we had Dmitry Bivol versus Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez. And it was a masterclass performance by Bivol. He just picked apart Ramirez. There were a few things that I saw in this fight from Bivol that actually led to his victory over the undefeated Zurdo. But there's one thing in particular that I've seen him do, not in just this fight, but in previous fights, that I believe actually leads him to these victories. Obviously, Bivol is a very experienced boxer. He has 268 wins and 15 losses in the amateurs, and now he's 21-0 as a pro. He's been boxing, I'm pretty sure, I think from the age of 6. So the guy is definitely confident in his own boxing ability, and you can see this in the ring. You can tell the way he moves around the ring that he's very experienced. He's got great footwork, he's got great head movement, he's able to pivot out of the way from his opponents, and he's got great rhythm and very accurate with his punches. But there's something that Bivol is doing that I haven't seen many fighters do throughout an entire fight like Bivol does, and that's throw punches in volume, these large combination flurries, but mainly made up of straight punches. I know that sounds very simple and basic, but that's Bivol's style. And I don't mean that in a negative way. He's mastered the art of boxing, and he doesn't do too many flashy things that will actually get him in trouble. So it's a very smart tactic on his part. So what makes this strategy so effective for Bivol? Throughout many of Bivol's fights, you can see him throwing these flurries, but in particular with this one, with Zurdo Ramirez, you can see him throwing a bunch of flurries throughout the rounds, but they're basically made up of just a jab and a right cross. Like I was saying, the straight punches, the 1, the 2. And it may come off on like a different angle, but it's still essentially a 1-2 or a jab and a right cross. He seems to rarely throw an uppercut or a hook, but I mean a power shot, a power hook or a power uppercut. He'll throw them lightly within that flurry, or when he sees an opening, he'll throw a power hook, but that's not his go-to punch. His go-to punches throughout many of his fights, but this one in particular, is that straight 1-2, or like I said, a little off angle, but it's still a 1-2. Now on paper, this guy doesn't seem too complex. So you may be wondering, how is he beating these top-ranked fighters just by throwing this 1-2? So let's break this down. The first reason why this is so effective for Bivol is because throwing that many flurries or just a high volume of punches makes the opponent put up their guard. This strategy is only effective when Bivol can get his opponent to put his guard up and essentially realizes that the window of view that the opponent has is either small or closed altogether. This allows Bivol to keep letting off shots without his opponent regaining view of Bivol and the punches that are coming, and keeps them in a defensive mode. The only way out of this is if you can bob and weave away from the punches or pivot out of the way, which is a lot easier said than done when you're under constant fire from these flurries. Bivol knows that if he keeps attacking with the 1-2 or jab right cross in this instance, in the same spots, that his opponent will keep the guard up and he can keep landing these shots. So here we can see Bivol attack Zurdo, which causes his hands to raise and stick slightly to his face. This is the moment that Bivol looks for, and he continues to put pressure on. This is when it's the easiest to attack because, like I said, Zurdo's sight is restricted and it allows Bivol to close that window of sight and add more punches to that flurry. We then see Bivol actually use his left hand to block the vision of Zurdo, not by punching, but by keeping it right in between his guard. This can act as a measurement of distance between him and Zurdo, but mainly this is to stick his hand right in his face to block the vision and land more shots, which is exactly what we see him do. So when you can make your opponent raise his guard, you can effectively land more shots if you do it this way. So the second benefit of Bivol spamming these straight punches is that it keeps him balanced. Throwing hooks and uppercuts causes you to plant your feet. It keeps you immobile, right? And this is the reason why these are called power punches, because you plant your feet to the ground and you give it all you got. So if you start throwing these punches in a flurry, obviously you can end the flurry quickly. Whereas throwing the straight punches like a jab and a right cross won't throw you off your balance. I'm not saying never throw a hook or an uppercut as if it won't work. I'm saying in this instance for Bivol's strategy, where he wants to get quick punches off and keep his opponent's guard up to keep landing those shots and disorient his opponent, throwing a hook adds in the extra risk that the flurry might end early because he may miss, and if he misses, he's thrown off his center line. If you miss with a straight punch, it's easier to actually regain your spot in that flurry and continue it. That's why Bivol can throw so many punches in one flurry. Now Zurdo, on the other hand, through this fight, tried to land a lot more of these hooks or uppercuts. I would say just power shots in general. And you can see him missing a good amount during this fight. In this clip, Zurdo tries to land a few shots and ends up missing with the hook to the body. This is because Zurdo is planted trying to throw the hook. We can see Zurdo try and come in and attack Bivol. He comes in with his right jab because he's southpaw, and he tries to land a left hook right after it. But you can see that he's thrown off balance. Bivol is a very elusive fighter. He's already moving backwards. He's not letting Zurdo come in. So when Zurdo lands the jab, Bivol's already moving. He's already thrown off his center of gravity. And you can see him bringing his back foot forward almost to catch himself. There's even instances throughout this fight where Zurdo will land one of these shots, but then the next shot moving forward, he misses. Now, this isn't because throwing a hook or an uppercut is ineffective, but it is against an opponent like Bivol, who can move around the ring, and he doesn't stand there and let you just hit him. If he feels like he's getting attacked, he's gone. He's moving out of the way. So in this clip, we could see Zurdo planting his foot, throwing the hook, and then Bivol moves back, making Zurdo miss and end this attack. So he looks solid coming in and initially throwing that left hook right to the body, but Bivol moves out of the way, and then Zurdo's left punching the air. The sheer movement of a hook or an uppercut is a lot more of a commitment than a straight punch. Like I've said before, Bivol moves a lot during his matches, and he has amazing defense. So trying to plant your feet in the middle of the ring and throwing these power shots at him isn't really the best strategy. So I'm not sure why Zurdo thought this was the best idea, but it worked out for Bivol because now he's facing an opponent who's constantly planting his feet, and Bivol is just throwing these 1-2 punches, and he's on balance. And when he does get hit, because he's only throwing the 1-2s and he's not really throwing power hooks or uppercuts, he's not being thrown off balance, so he can get out of the way. So the third benefit of Bivol throwing the 1-2 flurry is that throwing straight punches allows you to be way more accurate than throwing hooks or uppercuts. And obviously, in a sport like boxing where punches matter and it counts towards the points of the match, you want to land as many punches as possible. So looking at the fight stats from ESPN, we can see that Bivol threw less power punches, less jabs, and just overall punches than Ramirez, but he landed more shots. Again, a lot of his success comes from the fact that he doesn't rely on throwing these power punches in these matches or hooks and uppercuts. Instead, he does the jabs and the right crosses, and he'll flurry you, but he will actually land those shots, or at least most of them. Looking at this clip, we can see Bivol push off Zurdo and then land a 4-punch combination before slipping Zurdo's missed hook, which is the pinnacle of why Bivol won. Being able to land a 3 to 4 punch combination or more and still dance around and stay light on your feet in order to evade counterpunches is boxing 101. The only reason why Bivol can throw these punches and move is because his feet aren't planted trying to throw a hook or an uppercut. If you watch the fight back, you'll actually notice that Zurdo's feet are planted to the ground for the majority of the fight, whereas Bivol is staying light on his feet and he's dancing around the ring. If you watch Bivol's back foot, it's always on its toe, and he's ready to go, and he's ready to throw the punch. And he's also ready to get the fuck out of the way. It's clear that Zurdo was trying to find the opening in Bivol and land these power shots, probably because he wanted to knock Bivol out. Obviously, that strategy failed. So Bivol's strategy of throwing the 1-2 flurry is what made him win this match. Let me reiterate on all the points that I've made. Throwing combinations made up of strictly straight punches allows you to stay light on your feet and move around the ring. That's when you're throwing punches or evading punches. It allows you to stay balanced when you're throwing punches so you won't be thrown off your center line like a hook or an uppercut. And it allows you to throw more accurate punches. There's a lot less commitment to throw a jab or a right cross than a hook or an uppercut. And I just want to make this clear. Without all of Bivol's other skills like his footwork, his head movement, general defense, this strategy wouldn't work as well. Bivol is a very experienced, very good boxer. If Bivol didn't possess all the other skills, the strategy would be less effective. But in the case of Zurdo Ramirez, this strategy was the perfect one. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know if you agree or disagree with what I said, or if you think there's more to this strategy. Personally, this is what I believe worked well for Bivol. If you enjoyed this video, consider tapping the like button and subscribing to the channel. I'm making boxing videos every week. And as always, thank you for watching.